Holy. Nobody in their right mind would really make an unlimited cannonball these days. Just the liability from such a thing would really dissuade anyone from doing so. But at the Cannonballers reunion in early January 2020, we found out that there were a few people actually planning to make a run on April 4th. And it quickly became an unlimited cannonball with no real organizer. When I heard that, naturally, it piqued my curiosity. And my first thought was like, well, I'd take the E63 out, wipe the competition off the map, running 27 hours, 25 minutes, having the record. It seemed distasteful. So I quickly said, well, I can't do that. That's like bringing a gun to a knife fight. So I said, all right, I'll just go out and scout for some of the teams. I knew a couple of them were going to take the northern route, and I'm close to that. So I figured, well, I'll just run across my home state and get these guys safely through. With this April 4th event coming up, we started to hear about this virus. And at first, it seemed to be like, well, it's just, another one of these flus that they're going to blow out of proportion. And it quickly became apparent that people were taking it a lot more serious than something like that. And states were starting to lock down, and they're talking about closing borders and everything. And as the date grew nearer, states actually started just shutting down. Everyone's calling Ed saying, is this the perfect time to run a cannonball? And, we really didn't know. It wasn't entirely clear whether this was an advantage or not. And it really wasn't until I went out on the highway and realized, how fast you could go with no effort and nothing impeding you. On April 4th at 10 p.m., I jumped in the Angry Ursula, picked up a couple of my friends, and we headed out to go meet the two teams. The two teams that were running was first a guy going for the diesel record, and someone who was right behind him about an hour or so was going for the solo record. So I got out on I-80 and I was running out in front of this diesel Passat, which was making unbelievable time. I quickly learned that the traffic on the road was non-existent. There was nothing holding this Passat back. In fact, anytime that I would slow down a little bit, he would just catch right back up and I would have to go running out ahead of him again. And it was just glorious. It was absolutely the dream weekend. It started really making my gears turn on, man, what is possible? Are these guys going to break 27 hours, 25 minutes? It was really apparent that the lack of traffic and the lack of enforcement was really a huge advantage that, we weren't really sure about. So I had run these guys across the entire state, and I figured I would do them a favor. I would pull off on the side of the road, and I would get a video of them passing by. So I waited until we got into a very well-lit area. We'd just gone through an overpass, very well-lit, very safe shoulder, and I pulled off to the side of the road, put on my flashers. We got out of the car, and I was walking around the front of the car to kind of line up, get the video camera ready, and they're going to pass by in probably about a minute or so. And I looked over my shoulder, and this semi-truck was coming at about 35, 40 miles an hour, just veering off ever so slightly right towards my car. This all happened so quickly, another second, and I probably would have got hit by my own car. I dove out of the way, and this semi-truck plowed into the left rear of my Mercedes, just blasting it across the highway. It ends up in the middle of the road. His truck just goes off, careening off into the ditch, gets stuck. It happened so quickly, it was hard to understand exactly what happened. So now, with my car in the middle of the road, the semi-truck in the ditch, what do? I mean, there's nobody out there. I know these guys are coming. So I jump in my car. It's still running. And I pull it off the road. We start clearing debris off the road. By now, a couple of trucks had slowed down because they've seen the calamity. And I see the guys in the diesel Passat. And I'm just waving up and down, just waving, just go, 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 because we're all fine. The truck driver's fine. There's no sense in them having them stop. So we get them on the way, get the police there, Now I'm worrying, am I going to have to explain why the back of my trunk says Cannonball World Record Holder? Kind of what's going to happen here? So it's kind of an interesting situation to be in. When the truck driver came out of his truck and walked over, he was kind of in a daze, and it was pretty apparent that he had actually fallen asleep at the wheel due to these reduced regulations on the truckers during this whole COVID scare. They eliminated basically any sort of laws limiting the amount of hours being driven by these truckers. And this guy had just simply fallen asleep behind the wheel. And lo and behold, my car just happened to be in the one place where he was going off the road. What's interesting about this truck hitting me, though, is, I don't know what would have happened to him had I not been there, because, he probably would have went right off the side of the road into the ditch at, 40 miles an hour. The first quick look that I had at my car, I knew it was 99% totaled. And I was pretty crushed, because if you've done a cannonball on a car, just like Alex Roy has his M5, Ed's got his CL55, and these are cars that they'll never get rid of. There went my car. And just loving cannonballs so much, I plan to keep that car literally forever. People ask, like, would you ever sell that car? And I said, I wouldn't entertain anything less than $500,000 for that car. So seeing it there totaled, and just the thoughts I had running in front of these guys, my wheels were already turning. At that point we still had the record, but I'm just like, man, like, what is possible right now? These guys have made it a third of the way across the country, completely unimpeded. No one stopping to check why they were driving. So that's what really, I guess, kind of killed me. It's like, I lost my car now that I was planning on keeping forever. And, I'm definitely not going out and going to be driving fast. What am I going to take on rallies this summer, So I was pretty bummed about it. The cops were there pretty quickly. They asked me, kind of what I thought. And I'm like, man, just the way it all happened, it sure seems that this guy fell asleep. And after talking to the guy, they didn't have any suspicion of, impaired driving or anything. And he said that he had just taken his eyes off the road, which, I guess he did when he closed them. Thankfully, the cops really didn't take too close of a look at my car. So there was no question about what I was doing out there or why I was on the side of the road. When they asked, and what had prompted me to be on the side of the road is when we were driving about 20 miles earlier, we smelled what smelled like coolant. I kind of noted, I'm like, it's kind of weird. Like everything is normal in the car. When we pulled over, that was one of the things I was going to check, is that, check if I had a coolant leak or something. So I'd let them know. I said, I'd smell coolant. I pulled off in this well-lit area to kind of check it out, which was not a lie. I was actually going to do that. And what I later found out is, on our way back, after my buddy's girlfriend came and picked us all up at the towing yard, and we're on our way back home at 4 a.m, we drove past the same stretch of road, and there must be some factory there because it smelled like coolant. So my main concern with having my car at a towing yard out there is someone's going to take a picture of it. And my biggest fear of having any picture leaked of this car is someone was going to think that I was out trying to break a record or do something crazy, and that I had crashed my car, which I wasn't even in my car when it got hit. So the next morning I had a buddy of mine go out with my enclosed trailer and go scoop the car up. The car wasn't there for more than probably 8 hours. So we were able to get it secured and in my trailer. I knew that the whole insurance thing was going to be a problem, because I'm sure that they weren't planning to pay for more than a car. And it's definitely been a chore to work through them. But in the end, I'm getting pennies on the dollar to replicate this car. It would be very expensive. And with what the insurance gave me, I surely cannot replicate it. It is repairable, I think. I don't want to lose my baby, so we're gonna do our hardest to secure the thing and at least give it a shot.